Alrighty, let's have a quick look at all the pairs since I just mapped out the majority of what you guys voted. So starting with Euro USD, now mind you, today we do have high impact news on USD and CAD pairs. Okay, so just something to be mindful of in case the market doesn't move until the US session, or in case you see a spike and a drop when you're trading. It's usually due to the news. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Now, okay, current price for Euro USD is over here. I've mapped out my sell zone up top because it's a very strong sell zone over here. It's an engulfing sell that managed to get or drop the price down 130 pips. Okay, so it's a potential setup that I'm going to monitor for any potential sells. Now for my buy zones, I have two zones. We have this engulfing sell that freshly broke, becoming an engulfing fail. Price has yet to test this zone, and then we also have this engulfing sell and an engulfing buy. Okay, the reason I'm using this as an engulfing buy because this candle itself did not have that much body, so I'm taking this as indecision candle to complete or make my zone more legitimate or make my zone more high quality regarding to me. Okay, so again, very subjective. Find the style and find your own plan and your strategy that works for you. For me, from my experience, I can use this because for me, most of the time it works. Taking this as an indecision candle, all right? But it comes down to situations, all right? So current price is over here. What can it do? Now I'm just going to switch to daily so it's easier for me to draw because H4 is a bit too small. Okay, so I'm just going to use the daily to screenshot. Oops. And explain. Alright, current price is over here. If, and during this Euro session, if the H4 still decides to climb into our sell zone and closes within respecting the zone, then potentially we can catch a sell back down. But if it breaks above, then it might want to test a higher area. After breaking, the price can either shoot up in one go to the next zone if the volume is high enough, or retrace back into the key level for a better buy up. Okay, again, this is a Euro pair. Euro USD usually, specifically Euro USD, can be quite slow. That's why during the news, it's a bit worth it. It's not even a bit worth it. It's worth it to look at some of the zones because you can get 40 to 60 pips than your usual 20 to 40 pips, especially for newbies and people who aren't looking to hold for 100, 200 pips. Euro USD during the news it's a worth it pair to kind of monitor. Okay, if H4 decides to drop down into our first buy zone or our upper buy zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. But if it breaks down below, then it might want to test this buy zone over here to complete its setup. Okay, after breaking, like I said, it could drop down into our lower buy zone in one go or retrace back into our key level, for a better sign. Okay, so after H4 closes, if you are a if you are a low risk trader, wait for the H4 to close first, then switch down to M5 or M15 for entry. Okay, but if you have a higher risk appetite, it comes with a higher risk. The more riskier you are, the more setups that you might see, the more setups that you might take. All right, but if you manage your account well, you can be in profits. If you don't, you can also lose as much. All right, so if you are a higher risk trader, you have a higher risk appetite, you're not going to wait for the H4 to close. You might get the wick when it pokes the key level. Okay, but you can switch down to M5 or M15 once the price enters the zone to find any setups that is worth monitoring. Okay, in M5 or M15. Stick with M15 first. If you can't find any M15 setups, then switch down to M5. Now we look at GJ. All right, let me go back to H4. Now GJ it's the same setups. Okay, we still have our sell zone up top and our buy zone down below. Now, what I've added is this, because from yesterday, after this drop from the news of the CPI and touching this, and then when FOMC came, it also shot up. It created this engulfing cell. Okay, this engulfing cell. And this engulfing cell happens to be, or happened to close within this engulfing fail, right? This is an engulfing buy, and then we have this fail down. And this fail was able to drop the price all the way 800 pips, okay? So now I'm gonna monitor. I've already gotten the key level of this zone. I did not mark the whole zone because otherwise it's gonna get so messy. So we have an EFEG sell on our hands, right, where the current price is at. So this is the current price, where the current price is at. We have an EFEG sell. Now I've gotten the key level. This is the key level that I've only filtered it down to, and my very light pink line, which is at 166.606, is the limit. It's the height or the high of that engulfing fail. So I'm going to use this to monitor if the H4 still respects this line or if it breaks above. Because if it breaks above my 166.606, then I will wait for a sell over here, which had a complete setup of ABC, right, from the previous analysis that I gave you. All right, but if it doesn't and it still decides to respect this newly made EFEG sell, then it might want to test this one. If the sellers are still very strong, then it can drop down into our buy zone over here. Okay? So that is what's happening. So for scalpers who wants to scalp, you can use this area or this key level to scalp 10, 20 pips. GJ is very, very fast. But again, because we will be having high impact news, sometimes the pairs might not move up until the US session at least, and when the news is released or are released. Okay, so I'm gonna just zoom in. This is what's happening at the moment. On M15 we have EF, this one, it's an engulfing sell that broke over here, becoming an engulfing fail. Price came back, created this engulfing buy, then came back, tapped, created another engulfing buy. But after this engulfing buy, it is still trying to drop down. Okay, so now we know that we have both the buyers and the sellers in this key level that is trying to battle. Because if it still respects this M15, then we know it will shoot up, or there is a higher chance for it to test the higher zone, right? But if the sellers decide that, nope, I want to respect this key level for the EFEG sell, then on M15 it might break. Okay, so if I go down to M5 also created an engulfing buy, meets an engulfing buy, and now there's another potential engulfing buy in 3 minutes. Right? If this still happens, then we know on M5 and M15 that the buyers are really trying their best to push the price to break this zone. So use this key level if you want to scalp, because from this key level to the next zone, let's just see, you can maybe get 50 pips. I'm just going to take key level to key level, or 70 pips. So you can hold for, let's say, 40, 50, 60 pips. All right? But the whole range is around 70 pips. If you want to hold up to that, to the next key level to monitor, you can. Okay? So that's what's happening. You can monitor when it closes and stuff, and then enter. Let's just screenshot what can, let me go to the daily. Okay, I'm just going to use the daily. Oh no, this is really bad. You know what? I'm just going to do this on H4 since I've already explained it. It can either shoot up into our next zone, and if M5 and 15 setups are still present, or drop down into our buy zone from yesterday, right? Buy zone from yesterday like this, or if it breaks this, then we have a lower zone. like this. Okay, so monitor that, because we do have an ABC setup complete on H4, just right up above this key level, like I've mapped out before. Okay. Oh, and oops, sorry. Let me just do that again. Your SLs, please make sure 40 pips SL counted from your entry. Okay, after you've entered whatever price that is, count 40 pips from that. And last but not least, oops, we have UJ. Now UJ, this is going to be quite a worth it pair if it decides to respect. Okay, we have our sell zone up top and our buy zone down below. The reason it's so far away is because we have no zones yet to make over here. The only setup that I see is this engulfing fail that was respected, engulfing sell, respected once, broke, price came back, tapped the key level. So I know that after breaking, the buyers over here have already are trying to keep the price above, right? So that's why I'm monitoring this. Then for our sell zone up top, this is a complete ABC up top. So if we were to buy here, if H4 decides to respect this, the only thing that it needs to break is this engulfing sell, right? So it will be kind of a few supports here and there, resistance here and there. You'll have this engulfing sell, potentially if it drops down into here on H4, creating an engulfing sell. So we'll have to break that, break this, then it would easily make its way up top over here. Okay, if on the lower time frames you don't have strong resistance also, but on the H4 perspective, this is what can happen. Okay, so because if you're able to get this whole fly up, that's already 200 pips, okay, or close to around 200 pips. So what can UJ do? Okay, current price is over here. If it decides to drop and respect it, then potentially it can, or we can get a buy back up. But if it breaks down below, then it might want to test a lower area, which would be around here, right? An engulfing sell that failed, in the process of failing, create an engulfing buy. Okay, so you can also draw that out if you want to monitor for the next buy. And next is if it decides to shoot up into our sell zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a sell back down. But if it breaks above, then it might want to test a higher area. Okay, like that. So again, TP at something that you're comfortable with, but if you want to try to build confidence and hold for longer TP, set your first TP at something that you're comfortable with, then go by structure. Okay, so for example, if you're looking at H4, you have this that you have to break, set the TP just lower than the low of that engulfing sell, this lower, and once it breaks up, you just trail it. Okay, you can trail it, or you set it 20, 40, 60, so on and so forth. Something that you are comfortable with and it does not stress you out, so it's easy for you to hold on. Okay, so that's it from me. Trade smart, trade wise, guys. I'll get to your messages. Bye.